Good night, everybody. Thank you for viewing my presentation. Popular graphics, in specific those created for commercial purposes, have been one of my main areas of research for the past 5 years. On today's presentation, I would like to discuss with you a project my colleague, Professor Edward Salazar, who's also on this course, and myself took on 2018, undertook on 2018 on this variation. Looking at the streets of underserved urban communities, one can identify a certain aesthetic where different images mold on what could be the distinctive cityscape of popular culture in Latin America. Graphic design has always had a problematic relationship with this aesthetic that doesn't follow the taming of space, typography, color, and image to the best practices that state that in visual composition, less should always be more. But having worked with these communities, we strongly believe that people making and displaying those images had to find some kind of beauty and dignity to signal their businesses with them. So we set out to identify how commercial signs and ads are created and aesthetically considered or evaluated in popular urban contexts. We worked on Center Bosa Main Street in Bogota and a surrounding strip of shops on a series of ethnographic observations and interviews with business owners and creators. One of such creators was a carpenter with no formal design training that had taken the area by storm with all kinds of wooden signage and even interior design for pubs, restaurants, and beauty parlors. Wood wouldn't be the first choice in a professional commercial ad environment, for it has poor aging properties in exteriors, it has to be extensively lit, and installations can be quite heavy. Even so, wood came on top in the area, and these non-designers' very literal visual concepts were winning bigly there too. On the design process for ads, this particular participant told us that the availability of resources would dictate creative direction and even graphics for projects. This is a complete opposite of what design theory would recommend, since abstraction and conceptual resolution should normally lead the project, and resources for reproduction would be factored in much later. So since graphic design theory and design methodologies couldn't be really operated or used in this context, we borrowed the concept of frugal innovation from business studies. A frugal innovation is usually devised to solve a pressing need in a low-income market. It may not be sophisticated, but it delivers value and has the potential to even go mainstream on higher income markets. It seemed clear to us that wooden signage was a perfect example of frugal innovation at work here in Bogota. Regarding aesthetic judgment or aesthetic consideration of these images, we designed and held workshops where business owners, non-designers, students, and professional designers worked together to create and evaluate commercial images. Business owners and non-designers had enormous trouble establishing communicative mediation, which allows professional designers to align the clients' and end consumers' expectations in the production of effective visual discourse. Instead, these popular creators evaluate their images on realism, literality, and the effort it took them to produce those images. So, to summarize the main points of my presentation. First, popular commercial graphics are created in a scarcity context where available resources will define their look. But second, this scarcity will nevertheless encourage frugal innovation on both creative methods and execution. The third thing is that there is no such thing as a popular image methodology for creation, but rather the lack of these methodologies is what gives popular images their final form. And finally, urban popular evaluation of images is tied to realism, literality, and personal involvement on the on the creation process. So thank you all for listening. Have a nice night.